Today, Benso CC is going to have one of the craziest games I've ever seen, and he's going to have it in a very unexpected tank, the AMX-30B. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ladpad, and welcome to the video. Of note, I need to shout out Benso CC right now. Benso is a content creator, and while I'm not very familiar with his work, he does seem to be an absolutely exceptional player. And right now, I believe he's on a community contributor account, so he's got tons of access to nearly unlimited resources, and he's running, I believe, a full bond setup here. Of note, the AMX-30B has a really surprising gun. A lot of people aren't aware of how good this 30B gun is. It has phenomenal damage per minute, and it can really rack up the damage as it goes along. However, the reason the 30B was removed from the regular tech tree is because this hole just never really got going. You'll see the KBZ drives out into the middle of nowhere and actually puts in a shell into Benso, and that's because the armor on the 30B just really is trash, and nearly everything wants to shoot it because it's so free. Then 5Y puts in a shell, and while yes, Benso put in several shots, he took a lot of damage in return. The AMX-30B only has 1900 health. That's quite weak at tier 10, and after receiving only 2 shells and now 3, he is down to just a fraction of his starting HP. He can only afford to take 1, maybe 2 more shells in this entire game, and he doesn't have the armor on almost anything outside of the turret mantlet that can really suck in and absorb shells. So he's in a very precarious situation. This has not been a good start to the battle, and yet somehow he is going to turn chicken crap, if you will, into chicken salad. Now, in the 30B, it's not a great tank for this A1 battle. If you're on this side of the map, you want gun depression, you want turret armor, and while yes, you want a gun, you need a very good chassis to take advantage of what's going on this flank. And unfortunately for Benso's team, the opponents had a ton of different tanks that were well suited to this engagement, and Benso's team really did not. And they have an inordinate number of tanks who have gone and pushed on the southern flank instead, as opposed to, I think that's nearly 10 or 12 tanks from the enemy team that have actually pushed this northern flank. And so they are going to start just farming and really demolishing this game, and it's going to be up to Benso to pull this back. Already his team is down by 3000 HP, down by 4 tanks, now nearly 5000 HP, and Benso is seeking a great spot to shoot from. This is something you really have to master in your games. When you can tell that a flank is being lost, you've got to pull back into a position where you can affect the game and you can help claw it back. A lot of teams, when they finish pushing a flank, get very overconfident. They have this sense of invulnerability, that they're invincible, nothing can stop them, and they will push overly aggressive into a crossfire. And right here, Benso is creating that crossfire with his allies. He's come up here into a very strong defensive position. He has these bushes, so he's not going to get spotted. He has long firing lanes, and perhaps most importantly for big, massive games like this, notice where all of his team is. His team is on this side, and so the majority of his opponents are going to be setting up and trying to block shells coming in from that side of the map. They are prepared to get shot from here. They are not quite prepared for a lone tank to be shooting in from this side of the map, and this is what the 30B excels at. It has amazing damage per minute, and if it's allowed to just fire uncontested in the back like this, you're going to have a very big game, and it's going to happen very quickly. Right here, he's hunting for shells, hunting for kills, picks up a very good shot onto the KPZ, and now he's going to continue farming. There's so many targets, and the enemy team has pushed in too aggressively that Benso is just able to farm and farm. And while yes, some opponents look like they're trying to flank him, he has been able to have just an enormous impact for his team throughout this entire replay. Unfortunately, that shell does not connect, but his Jaegeru manages to shut down the Badger, likely with a 420mm heat shell right through the front. Now the Foch is pushing up on him. That's going to be a serious issue in a moment, and hopefully Benso's team can help him out as this Foch crosses through a lot of open ground. One thing that Benso's doing that I'm not a huge fan of, he's loading heat to go through the side of this 277. Heat into the side of Russian tanks tends to do really poorly because they often have quite a bit of spaced armor, but thankfully 2 of the 3 shells go in, and he picks up a very important kill. Now he's going to pressure the Foch. Unfortunately, the 30B doesn't have exceptional accuracy, and so he is going to miss several shells, but Red Panda in the Jaeger picks up another critical kill. And now, what was an enormous push into his friendly base has now really been quelled, and this game that looks like it was completely out of sorts is now back into a semblance of equality, a semblance of balance. However, that southern flank that had so many tanks is now getting pushed hard, and now with only the 121B surviving on that flank, who will soon fall, Benso is going to be once again in a fairly dangerous or a precarious situation. He has decided to hold this angle. He is able to outspot his opponents, thankfully, with his better camo values, and so he's just hunting for shots, preparing for his opponents to re-engage. Sometimes you just have to hold firing angles and wait for your opponents to make mistakes. Right here, the 60 TP looks like it's gotten bored, and at 380 meters, he finally does manage to spot Benso, and thankfully, our hero is able to pull back just in time. He'll need to maximize and to utilize the bushes in front of him if he wants to get in some sneaking shells into the 60 TP. Right here, he notices the bushes in front. He's able to poke up, get the spot without getting spotted himself, and into the side of the turret. A bit of a risky shot because of the low heat penetration of the 30B, but it does manage to roll true. Now, still looking for shots, still looking for ways to impact this game. Notice he's not staying permanently in the bushes, and that's a very wise play. Once your opponents know that you're likely in a bush, they are very likely to blind fire those spots. And so Benso, by pulling back, by not staying permanently in one position, is helping to ensure, or at least improve, the probability that he doesn't just get wrecked by blind shells. A lot of people think blind shots they're unlucky, or you can't prevent them, but there absolutely are scenarios where you can prevent yourself from getting blind shots, and this is one of those, and Benso is doing a really good job. Now he pulls behind the bush so he's not spotted, puts in the shell into the TVP, and this is just excellent use of bush mechanics. If you are able to be at 350, 400 meters, and you can pull back behind bushes and fire, there's a great chance that you won't get spotted. And if you're not spotted, that means you get to fire on reload instead of firing every 15 or so seconds after you get unspotted. This is a really key detail to this game, and it's something Benso is utilizing masterfully. And there, with the shot, the kill shot on poor Red Panda, who did so much good work, Benso is now left in a 1 versus 5, and the enemy team has 5,000 hit points, at least that we can see, and poor Benso is he's a 2-shot for nearly the entire enemy team, and whereas that shell would have been very, very useful if it had connected, unfortunately it does not penetrate. Thankfully that one does, and he only needs one more shot to shut down the STB. Notice the STB is blind firing that bush. Thankfully Benso had pulled back from it, and he shuts down the first of 5 tanks in his 1 versus 5. Now the 60 TP has been spotted, but Benso is preparing for the Leopard to charge in. Beautiful ambush shot set up for Benso, and he makes just an absolutely clutch play right there. Now the M5Y manages to fire. Unfortunately that shot doesn't go in. You'll notice that the 30B doesn't have quite enough gun depression to make this work, and that one somehow bounces. A heat shell doesn't manage to go through the front of the M5Y. Very unfortunate, and because of that, Benso ends up losing, taking another 344 damage. Now he's going to be a 1-shot for both the 60 TP and the FE215B183. And for whatever reason, the 60 TP has not pushed up and pressed his advantage against Benso. And we already know that Benso won't get spotted if he pushes up through the bushes, because this 60 TP clearly doesn't have a large amount of view range. And so now Benso wisely is going to reposition. There's no reason to allow his opponents to push up on him with all their HP combined. Instead, he needs to whittle them down. He needs to find them in unexpected positions and to use his key trait and his key advantages in something like a 30B. It's not the fastest tank, but it's a heck of a lot faster than a heavy tank and the FB183. It doesn't have incredible spotting values, but it's going to outspot and it's going to have better camo values than these tanks. By managing to put in key tracking shots like that, he's able to survive. He catches out the 183, gets a very important shot right through that tracks, allowing him to escape. And of course, he knew that the 60 TP likely could not shoot him because he was down, because that 60 TP was on the other side of the hills. Now Benso needs to continue relocating, continue searching for an opportunity. He plays very aggressively, somehow misses. I think he lost gun depression and had admittedly a poorly aimed shot right there. The 60 TP fires and misses, and that means that Benso has time to try to work down this 183. The 183 fires unknown why, and so now Benso just charges in. Actually, intuition swaps because he thinks he's going to need the heat shell against the 60 TP, and now he's reduced his 1 versus 5 down into a 1 versus 1, but he's a one shot for the 60 TP, and the 60 TP has 2000 HP. Thankfully, he has an APCR shell loaded right there, is able to penetrate through the spaced armor of the 60 TP's side, and now he's just getting the heck out of dodge. He absolutely runs. The 60 TP actually knows that likely that he's doing this because he had spotted the 60 TP, and so now if Benso was spotted, the 60 TP will kill him in this moment right away. However, if the 60 TP was unaware, and if in fact Benso was unspotted for that, he has a chance at survival. Right here, the 60 TP has not charged around the corner, and so at some point you've got to just make the call and say, no risk it, no biscuit. Benso pushes out, does not get spotted, does not see the 60 TP of where he last was seen, and it seems that Benso has escaped scot-free with his life. Now, if you were to push and try to cap, the 60 TP may or may not have enough time to get back and recap, but why take the risk when you can play the spotting game, when you can play the mobility game, because the 30B is going to be so much better at this than a heavy tank. Right here, 463 meters. You cannot spot past 445, and so Benso knows that these shells are absolutely for free. Unfortunately, the 30B, its poor accuracy, rears its ugly head, and so right now, Benso once again playing the camo game. He puts in another exceptionally well-aimed shot with the really slow shell velocity of these heat shells, manages to hit and penetrate. And notice Benso's pulling back. He keeps running away. Look at him keep the edge of this line far away from the 60 TP. As long as he's outside 445 meters, like he is right now, he's able to put in shells completely for free. Sure, maybe these hit, maybe these don't, but the 60 TP has no chance of fighting back so long as these shells are at range. Exceptional play by Benso, and really giving a masterclass on why it's so important to know your camo values, to know your spotting mechanics. He knew that his camo was better than the 60 TP. He knew that he could outspot him at range because he'd been doing that all game, and he was doing it in this A0 position during the mid-fight. And because he had that piece of knowledge, because he had that advantage, he knew that if he stayed at 450 meters or so, he could spot the 60 TP, and the 60 TP couldn't fire back. This is exceptional gameplay, and now he only needs one more shot to end this 1 versus 5. He puts it in, and that is a victory. A Kolobanov's medal, over 11,000 damage, and showing where players make plays. It's not the tank. It is you. It is your knowledge. It is your skill level that takes down these games. Awesome replay. Good job, Benso. Taking a look at the post-game results, Benso even throws in, he says, AMX30B, insane 11k, 1 versus 5 carry. And it was. Benso, this wasn't luck. This was pure skill. He outplayed his opponents. He earned his Radley Walters. He earned his Kolobanov's medal. And just showed how even in mediocre tanks, you can have exceptional results. He even says in his replay description, "Hi, this game was live streamed on my Twitch channel. That's www.twitch.tv/Benso. If you'd like to feature this replay on your YouTube channel, please also link me." So consider this your shout out, Benso. Please, if you're looking for some awesome World of Tanks content, feel free to go check out Benso's Twitch or his YouTube channel, which I'll look to link into the description of this video. Benso finishes with 11,000 damage. A shout out to his Jagdpanzer E100. This Jagdpanzer really put in an enormous amount of work. He killed the Foch, protected Benso during the mid-fight, and put in a lot of exceptional shells that enabled him to carry this game. Also, it's worth noting that Leopard 1 and that STB 1 also had fantastic games of their own. But Benso, in the weakest of these three tanks, 3 tier 10 medium tanks enter a Leopard STB, AMX 30B, only one leaves, and it's going to be Benso because he's just more skillful. He loses a ton of credits, but who cares with a result this epic? I would love to have a game like this in the near future, and Benso should absolutely be proud. With that said, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Every single subscriber gets us a little bit closer to 1,000, and at 1,000 subs, we're going to be giving away a tier 8 premium tank and gold to 3 lucky winners. So all you have to do, be subscribed, comment in any video that pops up from the start of this channel to today. And with that said, thanks for watching. I'm Lad, and I'm out.